Okay, so I wanted to talk about the U.S. Constitution.
All right.
See, the U.S. Constitution later on.
Sure.
But we were having a bit of a blame about education.
Yeah.
And
I suppose we maybe an unfinished thought or two there,
Yeah, it was like examining education for primary and secondary kids.
Yeah.
And nowadays, that to me it seems to be quite an old-fashioned system that we learn by rote.
Yeah.
And rote is very handy for times tables and things like that.
Or the periodic table in science or something, yeah.
But you wonder, though, are they better off teaching children how to think as opposed to just how to learn numbers and stats and things like that?
Well, honestly, as I said, I was alluding to in an earlier conversation, I think that's one of the main advantages of going to university or college is that it does that. Because one thing for sure is, I know we put it down, but I think a decent level of education is very correlates with quality of life, because, if you're poorly educated, particularly in somewhere like the States, which is a very there's like harsh capitalism for people and corporate socialism on the other side. But, if you don't get an education and you're somewhat susceptible, you're brainwashed basically,
I think that was Tony Blair's mantra.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Education.
Yeah. But like location, property, yeah.
But his mantra, I think, has nearly devalued what education is, because a lot of the British are now not going into trades. They're learning ridiculous degrees, which are okay. They might be interesting.
For the sake of doing the degree.
Yeah. And so I believe the German system is something like 30% of school children automatically go into the trades.
Yeah. Like do an apprenticeship.
Yeah, 100%, which makes which is a fantastic thing now, because we have about 100,000 lawyers in college and we've no one who can fix a plug.
I know.
And I remember meeting a woman in Madrid, and God bless her, she was about 35, 36, from the States, and she was $200,000 in debt.
Christ. In debt?
Student debt, which... Believe it or not, that carries on after your death.
Jeez.
That goes
and
to the next
even if you declare bankruptcy, it still carries on.
It's still there, It's like government. And I asked her, I said, so, like, what did you study? I thought you'd come back with something like nuclear physics or medicine. And she said
physics or whatever,
and she said philosophy.
Oh, for
and
fuck's
I literally spat my drink out laughing. But they tried not to laugh.
I know. And you don't want to be cruel.
And I mean,
not to her face.
Yeah. Which I was. And I mean no disrespect to anyone who's studied philosophy, but 200,000 is hanging over her forever.
And where did she say where she went to college?
No, it was about 50 grand a year she had to borrow, because it's not just the college fees.
It's cost of living.
Cost of living on campus, getting there, all those type of things,
and
which is all wrapped.
Basics,
Yeah, which is kind of looking at the universities have been in the States now. They've literally become businesses, and I think it's quite similar here, where they just want to churn students through.
Right.
And I think that's devalued third level education. I mean, it's great that everybody gets it, and we all have the chance to get it. But you kind of wonder, has it actually devalued it?
Well, you mentioned Germany, and they have a much higher percentage of people going into trades and apprenticeships and all. And one of our friends, he's hilarious. John. He's like, oh yeah, Germany, they really do respect engineers, doctor engineer, blah blah. And like, no one cares about engineers in this country. And like, okay, fair enough. Join the club, because that seems to be everyone these days: teachers, doctors, nurse, whatever. No one venerates us anymore, and that's probably the right thing, of course. But
do you think so? Like a doctor now is someone who's spent at least 6 years studying a very difficult subject, which is very hard to get into.
Certainly 6 years undergraduate, probably. Well,
and
5 maybe, 5 to 6. Yeah.
I remember Vincent Brown had on a show. He had a doctor on, and he was saying to him, "Why are you this elite with this title, doctor.
Yeah.
And the guy didn't really have much of an answer, you know. And Vince was saying you should just call him Mister and all that stuff. But if you're on a flight and, like, what do you do? Shout, is there anybody on this plane who went to medical school for 6 years? Who worked in a hospital, who knows how to... Or is there a doctor here, you know?
Do you know what's funny? Vincent actually is a college friend of my dad's.
No way.
His family friend. Yeah.
Wow.
So I know Vincent, like, very nice man.
Yeah.
Great friend of dad's. And
Great.
You know, they go way back.
Yeah.
But, because he's... very much anti-elitist on the left, and that's fine. But I think he is medical. Like, he's a lot of his great friends from college are medical. Like my dad, a guy called Paddy Bowen, who've all done very well.
Yeah.
And they get a bit annoyed with him when he goes on like that.
I
He
know.
says,
I know.
you know, Jesus, we don't need that. You know what I mean?
Why do you think people have lost the reverence for doctors that they used to have maybe up to about 20 years ago?
Well, I think it's partly something we've talked about before, you know, the kind of social media, I think, has something to do with it, you know what I mean? But
how?
Well, because there's an awful lot of unfiltered opinions out there, you know. You know yourself, what's the word? People don't believe in science anymore. Or, you know what I mean? There's an awful lot of skepticism, you know. And you know the way you'd say, you know, a fact, well, not even such a fact, nothing's 100%, but a largely kind of accepted truth that, say, vaccines are overall safe and overall very good for the health of people, shall we say, or the health of society. But actually, that's not really, you can't take that for granted anymore, you know?
So it's a matter of trust being on?
Well, yes, but the trust, it's not so much that, say, doctors have lost the trust. And I know I'm, you know, a doctor too, so obviously I'm going to be a little softer on the depression or a little, you know, but what's the word? You know, in the same way, okay, you know, our grandparents' generation, you know, they had the good room at the front, and it was only ever used if, you know, they lived in these tiny houses, and yet they had a whole room that was not in use.
Twice a year abused.
Yeah. And it was like things like the priest would come in. Do you know what I mean? And oh my God, the priest. And we all saw where that's gone. I mean, you know the way, the whole scandal with the child abuse and everything was dreadful, you know.
My grandfather was a county engineer for the county that my dad lived in.
Oh, really?
And his number...
That was a Meath, wasn't it?
Yeah. His number was number 4. Oh. His actual phone number was number 4.
Oh, number 4.
Yeah. And number 2 was the guard.
Hilarious.
Number 3 was the doctor. And guess who number 1 was?
The priest.
The priest.
Yeah, that's it.
Amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing.
By the way, sorry, that's over now, so I can concentrate again. Yeah, no, it's sorry, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? Why this erosion of trust in so much?
Do people question medicine, like what people say, because they can quickly look it up on the internet and say, you know, I have this, I have that, or whatever? Well,
okay, it's both good and bad, but so-called Dr. Google can be a right pain, you know.
Yeah, go on.
You know, it's like, you know, you go to see a guy or a woman who's dedicated pretty much, you know, decades at their particular specialty.
Yeah.
And you know, I think you said a good point, you know, in a previous discussion we had about none of these people are getting up in the morning and pretending to harm someone or or screw up.
Yeah.
But they're human beings, so it happens sometimes. But so in other words, like, they are generally accepted to be experts because that's what you do. You go, you get educated, you also probably have good ability in that area. But as you say, someone just comes in and says, well, I read something else on Google. Like, you know, and then I had a way of dealing it actually when I was working in my own practice, because I got a fair bit of this kind of, you know, not badly intentioned advice or questions, but definitely ill-informed. And I'd ask them to say, well, look, can you show me what you saw on the internet? Like, let's go. Let's have a look at it. And they do the search and they find whatever site. and I'd have a look at it, and it's like, oh right, okay, well this is actually behind this site is a bunch of lawyers in the States doing a class action suit against that, so it's completely biased, you know.
I think if I was king for a day, one thing I would examine is the tort laws and the tort laws in this country.
Yeah.
I think responsibility is
common sense.
Yeah, I remember I was studying tort law, and it drove my professor insane. Because I kept saying to him, that's just not morally right.
Yeah.
And after about the 5th time, he shouted at me. He said,
really?
He said, Phil, this has nothing to do with morals.
I know.
It's to do with the law. Mm-hmm. And fair enough, the law doesn't have to be moral. If you look at South Africa, where apartheid was legal.
Yeah.
But was it actually
As
moral?
was, God, go back far enough, slavery.
Slavery, yeah. So there is there's a degree of association between morality and law, but not the same thing. But I think that a doctor never wakes up. The one thing that drives me nuts when I hear about court cases over here is that a child is born and something went wrong during their birth. The doctor didn't walk in. She didn't walk in and say, "Oh, today I'm going to ruin a child's life."
Yeah, or I'm not arsed with my job today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And then there was one case where it was the same legal firm was arguing both sides.
Really?
So the government and the plaintiff were both working for the same legal company, or both had the same legal company representing them. And the case went on for about 10 years, and all that was winning was the lawyers are winning. I mean, you're supposed to have Chinese walls, these places, but for God's sake, you meet up for a cup of coffee. God. And then...
of course, yeah.
And then lo and behold, to no shock, the state lost. Yeah. And so the state had to pay a huge chunk of money to the lawyers, to the kid.
Well, of course, that's the problem,
Instead of just saying from day one, look, this kid is going to need help for the whole of their lives.
Absolutely correct.
So why don't we just give 200,000 a year to the kid's family to buy wheelchairs or stuff like that, and do it like that? But it's...
Do you know that a lot of judges have said just that?
Have they?
Well, yeah, basically what this is, okay, so you've got a lot of these cases are children with cerebral palsy, right? And
does that happen at birth?
Well, this is the thing. It's yes and no. Like, you can't prove it really, because I don't think, again, I'm not an obstetrician, but I mean, I'm not sure if it can be picked up. You know the way they can pick up, say, Down syndrome or something early in the pregnancy, do an investigation. I don't think that really applies for cerebral palsy. And this is exactly it. So when a child is born with cerebral palsy, it's often nobody's fault.
Yes.
Okay, if you had a dreadful birth and God had to use forceps or some awful force to get the baby out, okay, maybe. But probably.
But are they not doing their best? Or not their best? Like, surely it's not just one person in the room. There's about 4. I never been in a birth, but I presume there's about 4 or 5 people there, or 3 or 4
messy.
people there. Yeah, but it's kind of, surely there's more people there that are saying, look, we're doing this right or we're doing this wrong, or, all 3 are trying to help out. Or all 4 are trying to help out.
And the days of, particularly I can say surgery in my dad's generation going back, the surgeon was God. Yeah. No one would dare correct him or anything like that. Those days are gone.
Do you know when that ended for pilots, by the way?
Oh, well, yeah. What was there was an incident, was there?
1977 in
Tenerife. The Tenerife thing.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
And the Pan Am plane was taxiing on the runway.
Yep.
And for people that don't know, it's the greatest aircraft or civilian
highest
airplane.
death toll of any air disaster.
Yeah. And it was basically 2 747s.
Yep. Big jumbo jets.
The irony is that a bomb had gone off in the airport in
Gran Canaria, I think,
So both planes had to divert to Tenerife.
Yeah, I think that was their original destination was Gran Canaria.
I've actually been to the airport, and it's way up the hills.
Oh, I have too. It's near Tenerife. It's not far from the what's the city, the capital of Tenerife?
I can't think of it now.
It's up in the north.
That's right.
East.
Yeah.
Whereas the new airport's down the south
by the beach. Yeah. And both planes landed, and then the KLM guy, the Dutch guy, he wanted to refuel there as opposed to refuel in Gran Canaria.
Yes.
Because he figured it time. But the way he parked his aircraft, the Pan Am guys
couldn't get past him.
And the Pan Am pilot, one guy got out of the plane to see.
Really?
Yeah, he actually walked up.
I think they were
and
also pissed off.
Yeah, they were
like,
pissed
for Christ's sake, move it.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this here?
Yeah,
We're all
yeah.
trying to get away. Yeah.
Well, he was doing it to get back for
Yeah.
dinner to his wife, and
Really?
this is the insanity about it. So then he taxis down the runway
because he'd save time later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he taxis down the runway, and he was the chief.
Oh, just to say that the whole issue here was that this, because it was important in the context, the airport itself was not a big airport in the sense it had much more traffic than it could handle.
Yeah.
So much so that the actual, if you like, the taxiway, which planes would travel along to get to the required end of the runway, because obviously, depending on the wind.
Sure.
So because it was so packed, the taxiway was full of parked planes. So the planes had to, if you like, taxi down the runway.
Yes.
To the end, turn around, and then take off. So you can imagine it was absolutely imperative that you got clearance before you started your takeoff roll.
Well, I believe there was only one air traffic controller on at the time.
Really?
And this fog came in, and so
that's right. Yeah, the visibility. Yeah.
KLM goes down the end.
Yeah.
Turns around. The Pan Am follows it down.
Yeah.
And yet,
well, just to say that this was another big fault, not just the pilot. I mean, but this also led to a lot of tightening up of the language around air traffic control, because there was a confusion. I think Pan Am shouldn't have got clearance, but they got it anyway. Yeah,
but I think it was a confusion. The word takeoff, which was in the lexicon that was spoken by the air traffic controller.
Yeah,
and the KLM guy interpreted that. The guy in the tower said something like this. He said, "When you take off."
Yeah.
Which they usually go up to 1,000 feet above a beacon, and then they figure out where to go.
Yeah.
He said, and the KLM guy interpreted that
it's clearance to take off.
You're okay to take off.
Yeah.
So they've, as you say, they've tightened up the language that you have to get the word clearance or something like that.
I think you also have to get like a positive affirmation that they've got the message.
But even as the KLM was going down the runway, the KLM pilot said, "We're going." And
the captain.
Captain said, and they hadn't. The two other guys, the
first officer and the flight engineer.
They were.
They had. I think in the black box or whatever, the pilot, the co-pilot, was kind of saying the captain said something as Pan Am clear, and the guy was saying, "Oh, no, I don't think so. No, I don't think that's right.
I don't think so."
Yeah. And then, of course, listening in was the guys in the Pan Am who were like,
"What the?
Oh
hell?
no, what's happening? We're on the runway," and they nearly saved the day actually, because they started to turn off the runway and they nearly made it. Literally, if the starting point of the KLM had been maybe 100 meters back,
incredible,
it would have cleared the 747, the other jumbo.
There was an amazing thing when the fire engines came down. Because there was still fog in the airport.
Yeah.
And the fire engines came down to the Pan Am plane or the KLM. No, they
came.
Oh,
and they didn't realise there was a second plane.
They came to the KLM plane.
Yeah.
Where everybody.
Well, there was 100% fatalities there.
Yeah. And they started putting the fires out. And then one guy comes up to them and says, "You do realise there's a second plane down there?" And the fire chief went, "What?"
I know.
So they went down to the Pan Am plane where there was people who had a chance.
I think.
And they put
out
that
of
fire
maybe out. I don't know. There's around 50 survivors on it, which is maybe like a fifth of the people on it.
There was one girl. I think she was on a KLM flight. She was an air stewardess.
Yeah.
And she did survive because she had a boyfriend in Tenerife.
Oh, so she decided.
She asked the captain, instead of having to fly the short flight, very short flight,
and then come back to Tenerife,
and then have to come back. The captain said, "Yeah, fair enough. You can go,"
because they happened to be there.
So she would have been. She would have been in the airport or close enough when those two planes hit.
Been right there at the scene. Actually, another thing about, and actually, I think the original point you make is that the captain was kind of the god. He's the senior captain. He's
How dare you question him?
Mr. Jumbo Jet for KLM. And
when did that go out? Of medicine, was there some things that happened in medicine, or was it just?
Oh yeah. Where like, particularly in somewhere like surgery, where someone might see something, not too happy about that, or maybe God, your man's gonna get slapdashed or whatever. But they keep their mouth shut because because if you were say, hey, Mr. Senior guy, you're doing that wrong. A lot of these guys...
Will they fire you? Or not fire you?
Well, no, but they could make life difficult for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you might get... They might give you a crappy reference for your next job or something, and actually, or a very lukewarm one, and then they say to their mates, "Your man's a pain in the arse." You know what I mean?
It's if you ever argue with people or in sort of conversations, there's a thing called the argument from authority.
Oh yeah,
and it's somebody just because they're a professor or something like that, you have to give them special privileges in the conversation because they are a professor. Now they could be a professor of basket weaving, but and it's called so it's called an argument from authorities.
Yeah.
Somebody will say, "Well, I'm a professor," and you go, and I usually say, "Yeah, and so unless we're talking about the actual subject that you did, then you obviously have a lot more knowledge about
just because
that
you're
subject.
a professor, it doesn't mean you're great at everything.
Yeah.
Actually, just I suppose to tie off that story about the KLM thing. So in the aftermath or immediately after, KLM management were ringing around trying to find the guy who was the captain of the plane because he was their senior captain and he was on all their advertisements,
That's
the captain of the plane. And it was him, mostly the most experienced guy that screwed up,
And I don't know how the rules have changed now, but I think if your co-pilot questions you...
Right, you can't override him.
Well, it's like the XO on a submarine or something like that.
Well, that's their job, really, isn't it?
Yeah. It's so you have to stop. So I think so. If the co-pilot said now stop, the captain has to stop the plane, or something like that.
If one pilot isn't happy, and whether he's the senior or junior pilot, I think you got to stop and assess the situation. Yeah, because dear God, all they had to do before they started their takeoff run was get on the radio to traffic control and say, "Is the runway clear?"
Yeah.
And the guy would have said, probably sound like Manuel from Fawlty Towers.
No.
But obviously, apologies to any of our Spanish friends. But
such a waste.
Oh yeah, dreadful. By the way, a previous topic we were talking about pop culture.
Yeah,
it's a great pop culture example of just what we're talking about.
Go on.
In which one is it? I think it's Star Trek 2: The Wrath of Khan.
Ah, brilliant.
Yeah, and in that, Kirsty, what's your one's name? She was in Cheers.
She was in Cheers.
Yeah, Kirsty something or other. She's dead now. Actually, she she died a couple of years ago. Yeah,
Jesus, she was a hottie in Cheers. No,
oh yeah, but unfortunately, later life she had a lot of health problems and she put a lot of weight. And,
God,
probably. Difficult. But anyway, Kirsty Allen, was it?
No.
Kirsty something.
Anyway, I can't think of it, yeah.
She played a Vulcan officer on the bridge of the Enterprise.
That's right.
Called anyway, can't remember. But she was kind of like Mr. Spock's protege. That's right. Brilliant, all that sort of stuff. And so what happened was one of the whole things about the movie, wasn't it, that your man Khan had got control of the USS Reliant. That's right. And Enterprises are approaching, and it's kind of going, come in, Reliant. And your one Kirsty, whatever's character, says, Captain, Starfleet regulation, blah, 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 says in the event of no you should have shields up kind of thing. And actually, Spock kind of looks over and kind of gives it, no, shh. And of course what happens is your man, the other ship, seriously damages the Enterprise because it didn't have its shields up.
That's right.
And of course,
Kirstie
fair
Alley.
enough to Kirk.
Kirstie
He did
Alley.
say, "You go right on."
Right.
In other words, you're absolutely right. We should have listened to you. Yeah.
Kirstie Alley was her name.
Kirstie Alley. Thank you. Yeah, I wasn't far off. Alan Alley.
A boring stat about that film is: do you know that Ricardo Montalban, who played Khan,
the plane boss, the plane.
Him and Kirk never met on the sea
really?
in the film. If
they
you
do
think
scenes
about it,
together, of course.
Yeah, they don't do any scenes together. It's
Well,
all.
I mean, not in person, I suppose. Yeah, they're like talking on
It's
a
all
video
on
link.
on the monitors.
Yeah.
And the reason was because he was doing Fantasy Island.
Oh.
So he didn't have time to go back to the set to do any interactions with Kirk on a physical basis.
So their schedules, they couldn't work it out.
So the two of them, even in the film, never met They were always
Really?
on TV screens
Yeah.
with each other.
That is interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of because he was doing that,
Yeah.
and I presume he played the original Khan in the Star Trek series. Did he?
Oh, I think he did. He
Yeah,
did. Now,
I'd imagine.
I'm not that familiar with the original series because, I mean, when I was a kid, it'd be on Saturday mornings and all. And,
That's right, Saturday morning.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
God, what a
We were a
institution.
huge Trekkie household.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, we used to watch them, love them. My brother.
As was my grandfather, my dad's dad, apparently.
No way.
Yeah, I only found that out recently at my uncle's funeral. Some people were saying, "Oh, your granddad loved Star Trek." And so like everyone had to be quiet and Star Trek's
That's
on,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, "Oh, that's where I get it from."
Well, it was so sci-fi, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of. But even the planetary scenes, okay. The monsters look crap and all.
Oh yeah.
Like, but
what's the one? You know, the Gorn. I mean, for God's
I
sakes.
know. Do you ever see a film called The Forbidden Planet with Leslie Nielsen?
Oh yeah, I have actually.
And
and it's funny to see him in a straight
I know,
role.
it's straight role.
Yeah.
You're sort of waiting for a double entendre
or to say,
yeah.
"Don't call me Shirley."
yeah. But I think that was made in the 50s.
Yeah,
and
you're right. In early 50s, I think.
Early 50s, and it was sort of based on The Tempest by William Shakespeare.
All right.
Because in The Tempest you have Prospero living on this island with his daughter Miranda.
Yep.
And Caliban was this sort of servant, and the robot was like that.
And they're all isolated on their own.
Isolated. Yeah, and then Leslie Nielsen's spaceship comes down, but it's about Prospero's interaction with the
outsiders. Is it?
The outsiders.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then Prospero's conscience becomes this devil machine, or not devil, this devil thing that's trying to go to the ship. Do you remember there's a great scene, and it is for the 50s. It was quite extraordinary.
Really good special effects. Where they have this kind of.
It was like a
kind
red
of individual.
Like a red monster.
Yeah.
When he hit the electrical cable.
Yeah, you can see these kind of demonic eyes
Yes,
when it's into the electric force field and all.
Yeah. And that was supposed to represent Prospero's conscience. Okay. And it was like, I thought for the 50s, like first time, it would have been incredible seeing that. And from a sci-fi point of view, very much like watching Star Wars in what.
Yeah, or another one would be that had that kind of cutting edge thing. 2001: A Space Odyssey or whatever. It's Kubrick.
Yeah. What do you think of that movie?
I mean, entertaining. Maybe it's a bit hard. It's
very slow,
and the end, the end goes on for so long.
I know.
Yeah. But it has obviously some really golden moments.
Yeah. Did you read the book?
No. Is that Isaac Asimov? Is it? No, I never have. Do you know a lot of those kind of science fiction writers?
It's not Asimov. It's it's your man who died in Brazil there.
If only had some way of looking things up.
Yes. We might have a thing called the internet.
Yeah.
God, a very 2001 book. I gotta figure out who the hell with this.
Hold on. Here, I have my phone here.
Arthur C. Clarke.
Oh yes. Yeah. Okay.
And so I did. I haven't read the book now.
Just come to my head there. Because there's 2001, and then there's the sequel movie 2010.
Yeah.
Which actually isn't bad. Actually.
I haven't seen that. It's good.
That's quite good. I think you'd like it. And a great cast, Roy Schneider and stuff, and Helen Mirren, I think. Yeah. But I did read, there's a further book, I think it's like 2035 or 2085, and I have read that, what was it? What we were talking about there.
We were drifting sideways there.
We did. We totally lost the plot.
Yeah. We were actually, we started with education. So back to education. So,
must we?
Must we, yeah. Do we have to go back to education?
Yeah.
So, do you think it's getting better or worse than for kids now, from your own, just seeing what's going on and stuff?
Well, I think, everyone's guilty of rose-tinted glasses, you know, particularly people who kind of go on that, my day in the 60s, things were much better.
I'm
like, really? Outside of New York, San Francisco, and Carnaby Street in London, they were pretty grim.
Yeah.
In terms of rights, human rights, all that sort of stuff.
Or working down a coal mile in Wales.
Getting black lung,
Dead by the time you're 35.
Yeah. I mean, it's just horrendous stuff. Not to mention that there's no consideration to the environment then, you know. Yeah, so I mean, objectively, and actually, you know, James May, who I'm quite a fan of, he's
part of the Top Gear.
Yeah, you know that trio, Clarkson and Hammond, but definitely May would be by far my favorite.
Okay.
And he's great at kind of, you know, bursting these kind of myths, particularly around cars, like, you know, oh, classic cars are great, like, oh, 1978 Ferrari, whatever. And he'll tell you, when you ask him that, he'll say, no, I mean, the best Ferrari is the one that was made yesterday.
Really?
And the one that's made the next day is probably going to be better.
Yeah.
Now, there are exceptions, but I mean, it's progress. You know what I mean? And, you know.
I suppose if you have cars that have a beautiful look about them.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what people like the classic cars about. Like,
and it's nostalgia too, you see.
Yeah. It's you know, like my dad had a BMW 735i.
Oh yeah, I remember it. Wasn't it
I
like
think
a metallic grey or something?
Yeah, I think he sold it for 50 quid. You know what I mean?
Oh, I mean,
they were gas guzzlers.
They were kind of worthless.
Nobody
in Ireland,
wanted them.
Yeah.
But now, you know, people might like to have things like that. But for me, a car is about the beauty of it. You know, how it actually
the aesthetics.
looks. Yeah, and that's, you know, like some
Well,
cars.
particularly in your case, because you really don't need a car.
Yeah.
So if you don't need a car and you're just maybe owning a car for either the sake of it generally or just using it occasionally, then things like economy and stuff don't matter that much. You know, if you're driving 100, 200 kilometers a day for work, you need something. You can't have a gas guzzler. I mean,
well,
you know?
a buddy of mine got an Alfa Romeo, something like a 69, 68 car.
Or like a classic, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a dream. Like, for him, it was always a dream about buying a car like that, and he bought it. Yeah. And he took me for a spin of it, and it's beautiful. Like, it looks beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful run. You know, it's got all the old-fashioned stuff
kind
inside.
Of leather and all that stuff, yeah.
So there is that aesthetic part to it. But I do, you know, it's James May does have a point. You know,
yeah. I mean, I think where he's coming from is that, no, it's okay to appreciate a 1960s or 70s Ferrari for the way it looks, of course, but don't be saying nonsense like, oh yeah, and they're much more fun to drive and better to drive than a modern one. Sure, that's just like a computer or whatever. It's not quite the truth. You know what I mean? You don't buy and drive these cars for the ultimate performance. It's more just, as you say, to see and be seen in it, to enjoy it, that kind of thing. You know.
What was the car that we saw in Portobello's?
Oh,
it was a Swedish company. It starts with K.
Oh, Koenigsegg. Yeah.
You said they're about £1 million for those cars.
They're crazy money. And probably more now, because you know the way everything's so much more expensive. Interestingly, Christian von Koenigsegg is about our age. He's a 1971 guy as well.
And why is his car so special?
Oh, well, I mean, okay, so he came out, like, talking about education, he came out of university. I presume he must have had some sort of engineering degree or whatever, and decided, I'm going to start my own car company, right? And I mean, the history of startups in the car industry are very, very, success is very few and far between. But he broke the mold. He was an exception. Yep. So what happened in his case was his first car was like an all-out performance beast of a thing, and it actually proved quite popular, and it got a bit of a following, and also was pretty much helped by.
Were they fast? Was that the point?
Oh yeah. Like it was like a supercar. You know what I mean? Like mid-engined and exotic looking, and it was very quick. And of course, it was on Top Gear. You know, the BBC show in 20 years ago now. And famously, the Stig, you know, the test driver, crashed it.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He spun it off their track. And I mean, when I say crashed, he damaged it all right, but it was more from just going across the rough ground. And your man then...
was the car's fault or Stig's fault?
Yeah, well, no, the car's really, because it didn't have enough, downforce at the back. So, you know, when you're going to like a wide corner at speed, you lose the rear end. That's what happened to him. And, you know, this is a professional driver. But so your man then, Koenigsegg, developed the Top Gear wing or package, and he put a wing on the back that solved that. So it was like the TV show was like research for him.
So the object of a wing, when you see it on top of a car, is to push the top down. Or
you could say it's like
down.
It's like an upside down airplane wing. You know, so instead of providing lift, it's to push down force. Yeah.
I was reading where the word horsepower came from.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any idea?
Well, I suppose it's related to our four-legged equine friends.
It was
that the French like to eat.
French, yes, lovely. It came from James. Was it James Watt who invented the steam engine?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
Scottish guy, was he?
It was either Watt or Stevenson was trying to. Is it one of the best?
I think Watt is the steam engine guy, isn't he? Stevenson was more
the railways.
The railways, yeah,
And
the application of it. Yeah.
Watt was going around to all these coal mines, and it's one of the best pieces of marketing that you'd ever hear.
Yeah,
and he would say to the guys, "Look, you put coal in this thing, right? And your pumps will work 24 hours a day.
Oh yeah, to pump the water out of the coal mines.
You're able to pump it out."
Yeah.
And the coal miners said, "Nah, we're fine." You know.
I know. Yeah, because
you know,
there is a human thing about resistance to change.
100%.
Yeah.
But they kept saying, "Look, we have horses that do the job."
Yeah.
So
I'm sure all we have to do is pay for their hay. And why would we give you a load of money to put these things in? Yeah.
So James Watt said he basically went off, couldn't sell the engines. Then he came back and he said, "This engine will do the work of 8 horses."
So 8 horsepower.
8 horsepower. However, what Watt knew is that in order to run a coal mine, 8 horses don't do. You need 24 horses.
Okay.
Because the 8 horses can't work.
Oh yeah, because you can't work 24/7.
100%.
Yeah.
So the coal miners owners would then say, "Hang on, this does the work of 8 horses.
Yeah.
24 hours a day, so I don't need 24 horses."
Yeah, because
So therefore, I don't need the horses. I don't need the hay. I don't need the not the riders, but the people to bring them up and down. And so
the guys, whatever, guys
and
looking after them. Yeah.
And so James
the horse
Watt,
minderers.
Yeah, and James Watt invented that term to sell
that's interesting.
his engines, and that's where the word horsepower came from.
Okay,
yeah, smart, isn't it?
I think nowadays, outside maybe the UK and that, places like other, Australia, for example, Europe, they now rate the horsepower of cars in kilowatts.
Kilowatts.
Yeah. So if you look at, say, Australian review of a car, like the Australian version, a car magazine testing a car, instead of saying, and the GT model has 300 brake horsepower, they'll say the GT model has whatever 200 and something kilowatts.
It's a real standardized thing that the object.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And of course makes a lot of sense, except that people prefer brake horsepower or whatever.
I suppose, yeah. Well, it's a nicer word. It's a nicer word to talk about, isn't it?
I think the brake comes in. So the horsepower is what the work of the horse does. So it's a unit. They say, okay, the horse. Brake horsepower is the force needed to stop that. Do you know what I mean? To counteract that force, something like that.
It's the power that goes from the engine, to the wheels.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Or to the thing it's doing.
Yeah. Whatever
the work it's
mechanical. Yeah, of course. Pump or thresher or combine harvester. That's whatever, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Do you think the car was the worst invention human beings ever made?
Well, yes and no, I suppose. In terms of course, let me see. I mean, obviously a lot of environmental damage.
What about social?
Well, also a lot of dead people because millions of people over whatever the 140 years I think since the car came on the scene are dead. But so it'll never be 100%, shall we say? Even though you got an electric car and loads of safety and education, still going to be some deaths on the road.
Yeah.
And there's also always going to be an environmental cost with any manufacturing process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But obviously I like cars,
but what if you look at two cities? So say you look at LA versus New York.
Yeah.
LA, extremely sprawled out city, all car dependent apparently.
Oh yeah. I mean that goes for much of the United States. Yeah.
Yeah. New York is the grid system.
Yep.
All transport. Owning a car in New York, I don't know if people purposely try and buy cars. Is there any point?
There are some, but it would be a low percentage. Like most people resident in, say, Manhattan, I would say the majority don't have cars.
Just don't bother with it.
And if you think about it, so you wouldn't need a car, but say a couple of times a year you might want to take a weekend in Vermont or something.
Yeah.
A lot of people, what they do is they rent a car.
Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which makes sense. Why would you have this thing sitting on the street for 200 days of the year or whatever, and just use the weekends? No, I know exactly what you're saying, and I saw an interesting documentary about it, and you're absolutely right. The problem with the car in the United States is they tried to adapt the cities to the car as opposed to the other way around. Whereas if you look in Europe, they also tried that. I mean, what's the thing? The Westway in London, which is that kind of elevated piece of the M4.
The one that goes to Oxford.
Yeah, and passed out Heathrow.
That's right. Yeah.
That was meant to be part of an inner ring road.
Oh my God.
And it's interesting. They planned, in the 50s and 60s, they were planning not just one like the M25, but something like 4 or 5 ring roads.
Amazing.
Like several inside the M25 and then one further out.
Yeah.
And it was there was massive protests about it because they're going to just be bulldozing large areas of London. And, did they realize this is crazy?
Did they expect like 1 out of 5 families to have a car? Like that was it, or what?
Well, I guess obviously they knew it was going to become more and more popular. I doubt they probably saw the level of car ownership we have now.
Yeah.
But just slide aside. I was reading. One of the things about the German army in World War II is it seemed to be the most advanced and technical, and it had some really cutting edge stuff.
A lot of horses as well, though.
But by and large, they were otherwise way behind the Allies.
That's right.
And
there's a very good scene in Band of Brothers.
Oh yeah,
when the German army are marching back to Germany.
Yeah.
And one guy stands up and he says, "How'd you guys ever do this? Look at you. You're on horses.
Say hello to General Motors." I love it. That's a brilliant scene. That's actually probably my favorite thing on TV ever, Yeah,
it was such a great scene.
Oh,
and the Germans... just marching back,
And I think someone said, look, even in defeat, they know how to march,
Yeah.
The thing was, the statistic I saw, I was reading... I don't know what it was. Oh, maybe it was actually the podcast, The Rest is History. Anyway, they were talking about in the 1930s, Germany did have a car industry, and obviously they had very advanced stuff like Auto Union, Mercedes and all. But the rate of car ownership in Germany was actually lower than it was in Ireland in the 1930s. Now, only by 0.1%, but it was actually lower. It was like, it was like 3.8% of the population, adults or whatever, in Ireland had a car. Incredible. But only 3.7% in Germany. Compared to in the UK, it was something like 15%. And the world leader, of course, was the States, where it was about 1 in 4, 25%. Yeah.
I was getting the ships and trains and buses from Dublin down to Crete.
Oh, yeah.
And I went by... It's funny, you look at a map from 2,000 years ago, back in Rome.
Sure.
And you have all these trade routes in Europe that the Roman Empire set up. And I swear to you, we use the exact same trade routes.
You're probably right.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And specifically, there's a ferry that goes from Barcelona to Rome.
Yeah.
But what I did notice...
Which is probably follows the route of...
Which they went 2,000 years ago. Yeah.
Thousands of years. Yeah. Oh, wow.
And what I did notice, there was railways in every port.
Oh, yeah.
But I think what we did in terms of trucking, instead of making containers to fit the railways, we'd made trucks and roads to fit the containers.
Yeah.
Because obviously you have bridge heights and all that type of stuff.
True.
So you just have thousands and thousands of trucks driving where you could just, like the USA, you got one giant train, carrying goods from East Coast to West Coast with one driver and 5 engines or whatever.
I did hear that if they ever sort of perfect the AI driving, don't need a driver for an 18-wheeler truck.
Yeah.
It puts like instantly 2 million people out of
That's
work.
right. I believe Budweiser are currently doing it.
Really?
I heard this years ago.
Yeah.
There's a truck that is in like a warehouse in Chicago.
Okay.
And it just comes out of the warehouse straight on the motorway because it's a slip road.
Okay.
Drives the motorway for 500 miles.
Wow.
Then comes off again into the warehouse. Wow. So it's actually driverless.
It's a very prescribed route,
100%,
and it doesn't go through the city centre. Or whatever, yeah.
And
okay, but that is
and it sticks to whatever the inside lane or whatever it is. So but it doesn't need. But you don't have to pay for the driver
all over it or something. But I do think it's interesting what you say about the railways. I mean, the way we both agree, I think that it was a huge mistake that they closed them all down in the late 50s, early 60s. They just thought, these are old fashioned, and sure, look. Diesel buses, or we'll just replace them with buses. Yeah. But regarding rail freight, I do think the amount of freight being moved by rail is increasing, at least in Europe, but still quite low. And the issue is, you see, you'd have to truck your cargo to the train depot, put on the train, goes to the destination city or area. Gets taken off the train, put on a truck, and so there's a local journey.
That's right.
And then they kind of found that, well, look, why don't we just drive the truck straight there?
Well, the problem is that you have trucks are on tachographs, so you're not allowed to drive a certain more.
They're hours. Very limited. Yeah, absolutely.
But your man was Eddie Stobart was great for that. He has a big truck coming in.
Oh
the
no,
UK.
he's dead too.
Yeah, he does. But he ran trucks, or he ran trains from Italy and Spain.
Oh yeah,
that go through the Channel Tunnel.
Oh,
and so all the goods just they put the containers on the trains. You don't have to worry about tachographs because you just change train driving every 4 hours or something like that. So I think you're right about it getting better and better and better.
Certainly. And talk about it on a grand scale. You mentioned the Channel Tunnel. I remember reading something. This is a couple of years ago. Maybe it's not possible now that Russia's kind of borders are essentially closed.
Goddamn Reds.
Goddamn Ruskies.
Yeah.
But I remember there was a train, like it was an experiment. They ran a freight train from China all the way to the UK.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Now maybe parts of the, not all rail networks are the same gauge or so, but it's actually quite amazing. What happens is when they get to a border like that, where they have cranes essentially that lift the carriage of the train up, and they swap out the bogies so they can keep
I was
going.
getting a train from Bilbao to Madrid.
Yeah,
and in the Spanish system, they've the high-speed railway is called the AVE trains.
Oh yeah,
and they are
similar.
amazing.
I think they're like the French TGV or something.
They're incredible. It went from 50k an hour to 250k an hour in about 3 minutes.
Well, and I'd say it's that linear surge.
God.
That's electric. That's electric power for you. Yeah.
But the old trains, which is the one I got from Bilbao, they run on the old gauge.
Oh, so there's that's right, because high-speed rail has to be wider.
That's right.
And also all the tracks need to be welded. You can't be going over
and
bolts
much wider corners.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So what they have though,
something to do with science.
Some science,
some bullshit like
engineering
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
What they had,
man, on the internet said otherwise.
I was on the train from Bilbao, and it goes through this section. It's like a small little warehouse.
Oh yeah.
And it does that. It lifts your carriage up.
Wow.
And the bogies widen out on the train. So the train
so
has
it's like
the bogies itself move.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so you go through this like little warehouse, and the bogies go, or the carriage goes up just a few inches. The bogies go out, back down again for the whole train.
Yeah.
And the whole train goes through the system, and now that train can now use the AVE tracks, the high-speed tracks.
Right.
So
that's very clever, isn't it?
It's obviously not that difficult to do, But here's the thing, and I don't know if this is horseshit, but I was told this. I was told this while I was waiting for ferry in Barcelona.
Yeah.
I asked a truck driver. I said, "How come all the European trucks have their engines in the back,
Oh, you mean so-called cab over design? Yeah.
Yeah, but they're flat at the front.
Yeah.
And all the American trucks, like we see the big Macs and all that stuff.
Peterbilts and all that stuff.
They have their engines down the front.
They have a regular long bonnet. Yeah.
Why do you think?
Hood.
Why would you guess, as a bit of a motorhead, why?
Oh, I know exactly why.
Go on.
It's got to do with regulations about overall truck length, and the European limit for whatever the length of a truck is less than in the States, but they still want to pull the length of a trailer. So the solution is to make the truck itself shorter.
Okay.
You know?
He told me it was to do with ferries. That a lot of European freight
it could be that too.
Use ferries. So if you have the shorter cabins, it takes up less space.
That's true, yeah. That's true.
It's true.
But I do know for a fact that...
we were on our 10th pint when he told me this.
Oh, well, okay.
So, yeah.
Gospel truth. But it makes sense. But I do know that, for example, one of the reasons, many reasons why you don't see Peterbilts and American style tractor trucks or whatever in Europe is primarily because you could use one, but you'd have to use a shorter trailer. So to be, obviously economics would be ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Isn't it?
Yeah. But apparently, not only are the European trucks obviously more suitable for there, but apparently they're more powerful. That surprised me. They're more powerful than the American trucks.
Are they?
Like, yeah. And
is that because the hills, like, not saying the US is all flat, obviously, but
I guess on average they have to do less hauling up hills. Whereas you can imagine in Europe there's probably steeper gradients and everything. But more trucks in Europe, in like Scanias and all that sort of stuff, are like a different a generation on from US trucks.
Are they really?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, I thought the US had that wrapped up with their whole trucking.
Oh, me too. But
lifestyle or
not
whatever,
so, yeah.
Convoy.
But again, yeah. Do you know the funny thing about the States is they can be really backwards in some ways. I mean, obviously, in the past there were innovators, and they had freeways going across the country from the 1950s on. They were well ahead, particularly infrastructure. But they've kind of let it all slide recently, and you can even see it in little things. If you're in the States in a restaurant and you say, "Hi, I'd like to pay, please." In Europe, someone will come to your table with the thing and you'll do your phone or card there and then. Whereas in the States, they're still taking your card away to like a central point in the restaurant where they do it there.
Really?
Which of course leaves you wide open
fraud.
for skimming and fraud and everything.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, and
I think the States build things for practicality.
Yeah.
That's why you see these huge trucks, which, like, they'd be county council trucks, bin trucks, but they're massive. It looks like they take half the size of what the European trucks do.
I know.
But they're huge with massive engines on them and all that. I guess it comes to the days where you didn't have to worry about the price of fuel or, so.
It's that. But you know what it is? It's funny. Like one of the reasons manufacturers of motor cars or whatever much prefer making these big, expensive SUVs as opposed to a neat little economy car is because it doesn't cost all that much, wholesale to build the SUV versus the little economy car, but they charge way more money, so they make much bigger profit. There's very slim profits on economy cars,
I suppose.
And it's the same with trucks, by the way, because these advanced Scanias and short trucks, but which are more powerful, cost there's way more tech in them, and therefore they're much more expensive.
It makes sense. The markup is so much bigger.
Yeah,
a factory's a factory. A car is a car going through. There could be like a 2-foot difference, maybe, or something, or a 3-foot difference.
And I mean,
and a little bit of height.
In the bigger scheme of things, the extra bit of steel and whatever plastics doesn't not that.
Do you think cars? I was sitting outside and have a coffee in Dundrum today.
Yeah,
and I noticed that all the cars are SUV now. That type of thing.
Yeah,
and I noticed how ugly they are. Like, what the hell is going on? Because this 2005 Merc passed by.
And it's kind of elegant.
It had the like it had not even curved lines, and those frog-eyed front lamps, that type of thing. Like it's
they were kind of hideous actually. My dad had one. Yeah,
but it looked. I thought it looked different or it looked nice.
Yeah,
and the SUVs. I couldn't tell the difference between the manufacturers.
No, they're very samey
until you see the badge.
Yeah, true.
That's it.
Well, you see, you're absolutely correct. Your observation's correct. Do you know that the only car, like non-SUV, that Ford make for the US market is the Mustang? Everything else is an SUV. And that's why, if you look at things like cops and TV footage of police in the States, they're all in Ford Explorers, basically. Whereas, 15 years ago, they were in Crown Vics, the big, massive rear engine things.
I still love the sound of a Mustang.
If you're talking about a V8.
Oh, my
Great
God.
engine, yeah.
That is just, I don't know, the sound of it. Was that the one in Mad Max? Was that a Mustang?
Similar.
Yeah.
I mean, in the sense that the car,
Interceptor.
Mad Max's car, was, if you like, an Australian version of a
Yeah.
Ford Mustang. It was called a Ford Falcon because...
Holden was the company.
well, Holden were GM.
Okay.
And Ford, there was Ford of Australia, and they had some unique models for the Australian market. They were actually built in Melbourne.
No way.
Yeah, in fact, they don't make cars in Australia anymore, but that's a relatively recent thing I read. There was 3 major manufacturers of cars in Australia up until maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Holden, GM, Ford, obviously, and Toyota had a big operation. But one of them, I think GM decided, right, we're going to stop manufacturing, and all Holdens in the future will be rebadged Opels or whatever.
Was Holden an original Australian name of a car company?
Yeah,
was it?
Probably. I think so. And taken over then by GM. Same with Opel. Opel were German and taken over by GM in the 30s.
What about Saab? Saab was taken over by GM.
But much later. And they ruined it. They ruined it.
Saab is gone now, isn't it?
Gone since 202012, yeah.
My dad's life was saved because he was in a
he swore by them. Yeah.
He would. He was he was waiting at a traffic light. One of those huge Brinks vans.
Yeah.
Came along.
What, like a security truck?
Yeah,
wow.
real heavy one.
Yeah.
Took the corner way too quick.
God.
Went up in the air and landed on top of my dad's car.
Wow, did it tip over onto its side?
Yeah, no, just down.
Wow.
Came straight down. And the cop said the only reason you lived is because you're in a Saab.
Yeah.
Amazing, isn't it? Yeah, they had those, what do you call those?
I'm sure Volvo probably would have been too, and maybe a Mercedes. But definitely was in like a Ford or a Toyota, he'd be dead. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And Dad just walked to work. I was in the warehouse and he came walking in the road. I said, "Where's your car?"
I remember you told me that.
And he said, "That's a bit of an accident."
Right. The car is no more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's been towed away. Christ almighty.
Actually, I was reading a thing. You made a good point as someone who, you're not into cars, but you're just observing as a normal person. You say that not only are they all SUVs, well, that's just because that's what people want now.
Yeah.
But they're ugly. I mean, they're hideously ugly.
They are hideous.
I mean, have you seen the latest BMWs?
No.
I mean, they're awful.
Yeah.
They look like caricatures.
Yeah.
You know the neat little logo of a BMW, these little kidneys on the front or whatever. They're kind of two things, right? Now it's like takes up most of the grille. And not only that, they've actually illuminated them. I mean, they're just ridiculous. And do you know why?
Was BMW not the blue and the silver fan?
Oh, well, that's the little
the fan type
logo.
Logo, yeah.
I think that's meant to be... actually, I may be wrong about this. This is what I heard. It's meant to be a stylized thing of a propeller spinning.
Oh, I see.
And the reason I think that is because they were an aero engine manufacturer from World War One up to World War Two. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yep. But
they are like what's going on with the engineers, or is it just
the styling?
Is it just what people want?
Nope. Well, this is the thing. One word: China. The design of most cars now is being dictated by the Chinese market.
Okay.
So I read a thing. It said 15, 20 years ago, BMW would have an event where they divided in all their distributors and dealers and all around Europe or around the world to reveal a new car. And they'd show them the car, a new 5 Series or whatever. And when it originally they were all like nice and elegant styling, understated, nice. All the Europeans and the Americans would be like, "Oh yeah, lovely, lovely, lovely." Whereas all the Chinese would be like,
"Really?
Where's the bling?"
No way.
Yeah,
oh
and as it's gone now a lot of these cars are pretty ugly. A lot of very exaggerated, like a caricature of a car. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And what's happening now is that the European dealers and all are going, oh my God, what the hell? How are we going to sell this? And the Chinese are going, great, this is what we want. But of course, the reason for that is because China's now their biggest market.
So do the car manufacturers realize this is going on? Will they change to have two different types of model?
They might. But you see, the thing is, as long as they're selling enough of them, it doesn't matter. And I remember, someone, I think it was a joke or something, one of these cartoon things or a comedy show, someone like, do you want to buy this really nice, advanced, good-looking, good value Ford, or would you rather have this pile of horse shite in the BMW barrage of it? I'm like, give me the horse shit.
Yeah.
Like badge snobbery is a big thing. So
is it a huge thing? Is it?
It still is, yeah. Look, that's why the only companies still making like a saloon car, like what our dads would, and what I until recently drove, is like BMW, Mercedes, I suppose Audi. That's it. Maybe in the States, Cadillac, and even they're mostly SUVs. And it's simply that, and if you think about it, there's no more Ford Granada, there's no Opel Senator, all these big cars from the kind of more prosaic, down-to-earth brands. Yeah. They only make sort of economy cars or big SUVs. There's there's no market in the middle, or at least that's the way it's gone. Yeah. But you're right.
I saw some ad for one of those BYD cars.
Oh yeah,
and it was €17,500 for the car.
Oh, is that their small one? Or something?
It was like what's a Volkswagen Golf? It's about 40.
Must be.
And they're called
Although I suppose
ID3s now or something.
Well, yeah. Definitely, you see that the Chinese government, and this is the benefits, I suppose, of having a one-party state. They can direct the course of things. They decided
and just shoot you if you don't agree.
Well, you do this, or we'll just take your factory off you, and you can live in the gutter. But so what they did was. One of the things when a country is industrializing and trying to build up its economy, it's very important to build up a motor industry, for example, because you don't want to be, you need, every big country needs trucks, buses, and then later on cars as people get prosperous. And so you either import them all, or which is ridiculous for their point of view. No, we want to build them here. Yeah. And how they started out, I suppose, Volkswagen was in China from the 80s onwards. So they were like the biggest foreign car brand.
So they were really first the game.
They were. And
did they have to sell their?
They were built. A lot of them were built in China. The ones that they sell there.
Okay, but they didn't have to give the Chinese company half the data. The way you have to give them all the specs,
intellectual property rights, and
all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, I'd say they did. But what they would do, for example, all right, there was for a long time in China, late 80s through to probably the early part of the 2000s or whatever. Yeah. The main car that VW sold was a thing called the Volkswagen Santana, which basically. It was a Volkswagen Passat with a boot or something, and
Passat with a boot,
something like that. So it was a very
Passat was an ugly car. I thought it was a very ugly car.
Yeah. No, this thing was a very basic car.
Okay,
But here's the thing: Volkswagen. It was their last model, and they'd moved on in Europe, so they were given the cast-offs to China. So it doesn't matter that they're given all the information on how to make it.
Here's the old stuff. You can have
it's the old stuff, you know. But what they did was China decided ultimately that we'll never really be able to compete with the established manufacturers on traditional cars like petrol, diesel cars.
Well, I tell you, for €17,500, you certainly are competing.
Oh no, this is the thing. So they said we'll never be able to build a car that an enthusiast wants or whatever, Yeah. So they said, okay, let's put our efforts into developing battery technology and electric vehicles.
Fantastic.
Which is twofold, because now they kind of have a big chunk of it, and they're the big dog in the room when it comes to the electric car world market, and they're very good. Like the tech is very good because they've been concentrating on it for 20
I believe
years.
In China you go to what's called a battery station.
Oh yeah.
And you drive a car in, and a machine takes your battery out.
You exchange battery
and puts a new battery. Well, not an actual new battery, someone else's battery type thing. Brilliant. So there is no charging. There's no waiting around charging.
Yeah.
It's just straight in, straight out.
And you never actually own your battery. I think you just rent it.
Is that how it works?
Yeah. Now that's
Clever idea,
for
isn't it?
some. And I don't think it's not going to become the major thing. Renault actually, in fairness to them, I think experiment with this as well when they're developing their electric cars. But you see,
but that would seem to make so much sense that people would go for that.
yeah, but it's kind of a high infrastructure cost. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's dear enough to build, say, a petrol station, right?
Yeah.
If you build one of these things, you're going to have a big building and this machinery to lift the car up and drop the battery down and put a new battery in and all. It's quite a lot, you know.
Okay,
and it's probably pretty slow too, and ironically, because if you're the only person queuing up for get your battery swapped, what if there's 10 people ahead of you? You know?
Yeah. Good point.
And also, funny enough, like battery technology was something that hadn't advanced in generations. And then, of course, we have the lithium-ion stuff, which is for phones, laptops, and now cars. But it's far from perfect because, the lithium is in short supply.
I believe the Chinese are working on sodium batteries, though, at the moment.
And the Germans, too, I think.
God, if they crack that, man, that's like...
And
incredible.
I don't quite understand what this means, but I've heard this thing called either solid-state or gel batteries, right? Which can actually more or less be charged, can take a big enough charge that you can more or less, go from 10 to 80%, which is kind of what you do, as quick as you'd fill the tank with petrol or diesel.
Wow.
So when that happens, and with the infrastructure, to have all those fast chargers conveniently located throughout, I honestly, I know I'm biased because I have an electric car, but they're the future as far as I'm concerned.
Well, as long as some African country doesn't have the metal needed to make the next one, because it's always a disaster.
Those lazy crowd in the Congo stop fighting each other and give us their lithium for nothing.
Of all the places, God Almighty, could it not be?
Great, instead of the Boy Scouts, they send the kids into the lithium mines.
Oh, God, it's depressing. Oh, I feel so sorry for them, God.
Anyway, that actually, oh my God, that is one of the unluckiest countries in the world.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I again, my Rest is History podcast, they did a whole thing about the Congo, King Leopold. And of course the Heart of Darkness, Joseph Conrad and everything.
He actually owned that country. It wasn't owned by Belgium.
It was the personal possession of the king.
Incredible.
And it was only, I think, like 1905 or 6 or something, the international pressure, even by the standards of the time, people were appalled at the cruelty of the way, and that the government were forced to step in. But they gave him a ton of money. You know what I mean?
They gave him a ton of money.
They had to buy it off the king. The state had to pay for the land, the king, and he got a fortune out of it,
There was a very famous Irishman who was responsible for taking a lot of photos and all that stuff. He came back from Africa.
Oh, yeah?
He wrote The Riddle of the Sands as a book. I forget his name for
all
a
right.
second. Erskine Childers.
Oh,
so Childers...
Wasn't he a president of Ireland as well?
That's right.
Yeah.
But Childers had gone down to Africa.
I know my American president's better than my Irish president.
And had seen all this. And he was what's the phrase? He was like, he basically came back to Britain and said, look, this stuff is going on. They're chopping off kids,
they're
people's
chopping
hands.
off people's hands.
Yeah, and all that.
Dreadful.
And he really advocated for it to stop.
To reform this
horrendous. And because he was an English parliamentarian, he was able to be listened to.
Oh, he had in other words, he had a voice.
Exactly.
That's right.
And then after that, he did a ton for the Irish, by the way. But anyway, we'll talk about that some other day.
Yeah, that's true. Something I don't know a lot about.
We're speaking of education. I don't know what we learned today, but
probably not much.
We're coming up to
another sidetrack.
Exactly. We drifted sideways.
Yeah.
So we're coming up to 70 minutes now. So
okay. Well, we're going to leave it there, I guess. And so we'll edit some of it, but should be interesting to see how this one turns out.
Alrighty.
All right, bud.
Alrighty.
Cheers,
See
man.
you, man. Bye-bye.
Bye.